Alright, let's continue working on the center console. The next piece that I'd like to put together is this piece that kind of flows up here toward the back wall. Looks like it's got some storage compartments and whatnot. Now, we're not going to worry about the functionality of those storage compartments. We're more or less just going to get the right shapes put in here. So we'll start off with a polygon cube, like so. And it'd be a good idea for us to kind of know how far back we're going. And if we switch the rest of the car on for just a moment, let's see, center top would be a good one. The back wall is going to come in right about back here. So what I'm going to do is put in a temporary plane. Let's make it a 1x1 plane that I can use like so, just so I know roughly where the back wall is going to be. And yeah, it's just going to kind of plug through here for the time being, so don't worry about that. And here we go in the photos. This sweeps back, but notice it doesn't go right up to the wall. It actually goes, there's some backwards motion back here if we kind of move up. So there's a shelf before it actually makes it to the wall. So that's probably reasonably accurate for the location of the back wall. We'll use it that way anyhow. And let's see, to get started, let's grab this face here, and we're going to scale it in. Now this whole thing, you can see real easy, tapers as it comes forward. So it's going to be really thin up near the front, and it gets really wide as it moves toward the back. Let's start the whole thing off by smooth proxying, just so we have something to work with. Right now it'll be really hard to see what it is, but that's okay. We can keep switching back and forth. And let's make a few extrusions. So we'll kick this back. And we'll slide this back, just see how far we have to get to the wall. Say something like so. And a couple more, and I'll just kind of pause here for a moment. So here's what we have. Now, one thing we can do, we've been doing a lot of beveling. If we don't want to bevel necessarily, we can just grab the bottom faces here and give these an extrusion downward, and then that'll help kind of flatten that out. Now, let's do a little bit of vertex adjustment on here. I'm going to turn off the center top in the cockpit for now. I know that leaves us still sitting with the windshield on, but that's all right. Let's kind of widen these out. I'm going to add a split right down the middle of this. Let me get my cut faces tool, open up my options, cut along YZ plane, kaboom, there you go. And you can see that kind of start to give us more of the shape that we're looking for. Let's keep moving vertices. And we can start doing that upward curl. So it kind of gets vertical as it gets back here toward the back, you can see. Now be sure you keep in mind where you are in relation to things like the back wall and the rest of the car. So do a lot of rotating when you're working on something like this. It'll help you with proportion later on. Let's see, it looks like the top of this is about even with the top of the door, so we can kind of use that to help us gauge scale. I'll give a couple of extrusions back here, so that gives me also another depth to the door, and I've got a lot of detail to play with here for the upward motion, so that should pull up probably about to here. Let's grab both of these together when we do that. Okay, and we'll just kind of slide this back. We do not know for sure that that's where the back wall is. We're just basically guessing right now, but we'll have plenty of room to make adjustments later on should we need to. Now let's kind of dig through some of our photos, see if we got some other shots that show this area back here. Not a whole lot, really. Don't have what I would call tons to work with. It does look like the whole thing kind of sweeps up, instead of what we have here where the bottom stays pretty much flat, which is fine with us, no big deal. We can just start adjusting rows of vertices to compensate. Pull something like that. Looks like it's starting to get there. Now, do we have anything crazy going on here? It looks like maybe we do. Looks okay over there. It's just right back here. Oh, it looks like we just grabbed an extra face when we extruded, which is fine. No need to really freak out too much about it when we can always delete it and put in something else. Just take a moment and study what we've got back here. And we'll do the same thing on this side. So we've deleted those out. Take my back wall and move it out of the way for a moment. Let me take my move tool, set it back over to world space. We'll kick that back. And let's grab our... actually, you know what? Let's not do either one of those things. Let's just do what we've been meaning to do all along, which is delete half of this, and then we'll just mirror it over when we're finished. There you go. No problem. And let's see. We could use a little more definition as we crest the top. So it probably wouldn't be a bad idea on our part to run a bevel all the way around this object. That's a little bit too much bevel, so pull back on that offset. That's not bad. Now we also have that indentation that runs all the way around that we'll need to worry about. So let's see. There's the little tiny sunglass holder looking thing here. Then there's another panel. Then everything just kind of sweeps up there. So it'd probably be a good idea for us to make a split right about here. And we'll bevel here. And then looks like back to here. And then the rest of the way up. Yeah, something kind of like that. And I'll cap this off up here. I'm not sure if that's what it really does, but it sure does look nice if we do that, I think. And let's pull down that offset real nice and tight. Okay, and start grabbing faces. And we can extrude. Pull these verts in. Now let's just run a quick test here. I imagine this will work out pretty well, but let's try it before we subscribe to it. Let's grab all of these. Oh, I don't want to poke them. I want to extrude them. That's definitely a start. I mean, it looks good in some areas. Like here, I'm pleased with it, but it's going to need some help in some other areas to tighten everything up. But as long as we know that going in. Now, also, we should have some internal faces we'll need to clean out all along the inside. So make sure you take just a second and get rid of those before they bite you later on. And what we'll do here, or what we'll try doing anyways, let's see if we can just, let's see, That's could be a little more rounded, but not necessarily the worst thing I've seen all day. Let me undo a couple of times, because I want to get rid of that extrusion up here on the crest of this. We'll take this one piece at a time. So let's go back until this extrusion is gone. We'll grab each of these separately. We don't want that. We'll take this, though. And make sure we didn't select through and grab anybody we didn't mean to. And it doesn't look like we did. So let's extrude those inward. Okay. Now that doesn't look too bad up there, really. Could be a little more defined. But I'm not really going to stress about it. Let's grab edges. It's going to be real hard to see these, so we may need to do some heavy zoom in action. Let's try just beveling these and see what we get. That pulls those to a pretty nice corner. Try adjusting a few vertices. Let's try our old corner trick we were using out on the body. See if that helps. Let's grab the poly crease tool. And as long as we keep that pretty soft, I think it'll work just fine. If we scale these toward one another, fills that in nicely. Pull that over just a little bit. So yeah, I think that's going to work out great. Undo it for now, though, because we'll do it to everybody all at once. So we'll go all the way back until there's nothing. One more test I did want to do. I was trying to remember what it was, but... Nah, okay. Never mind. I was thinking about beveling the bottom of each panel, but we'll just do these little V areas and kind of call it even. Alright, beveled. And really that right there doesn't look bad. In fact, I think we'll just leave it like that. Now let's grab some faces here, 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 and here, and up here. Let's extrude all of these. We'll pull them out. I'll scale them in a bit. Then we'll have all of these internal faces to kill. We got a lot of these actually, so make sure you take a moment. Make them all gone. Then we need to snap a lot of these vertices back over to the central axis. Looks like we missed a few. Okay. I think that'll do it. Now we can take these edges and we could scale them closer to one another. Looks like we have, maybe a little bit of beveling there from all of that. Let's grab these vertices and we'll merge these to center. Yeah, that'll work. Do the same thing here, and here, and here. And basically just keep that extra edge away. Okay, and let me grab these edges. We can scale them toward one another, pull them down a bit. Grab all of these together maybe, and squash them all a bit closer. In fact, let me try that from the start. Let's grab all of these and just... Whoop. Nah. Start here at the bottom. Okay, just some careful adjustment here. Looks like I need to merge some vertices here as well. Okay. Right, and pull this in, pull these together. I think that'll do for that. Let's grab the low-res version, and we'll mirror polygon in -X. Grab our mirror node, set our merge threshold down very low. And if that gives you any problems, grab all vertices down the seam, grid snap them back to the center, grab them all again, and choose Merge Vertices. Okay, cool. Now from here, we've got a pad that runs along either side of the center console that we haven't really taken into account yet. So let's go ahead now and build that. Start it off with a cube. And I'll just begin by building it over here on this side, and then we'll move it over. Kind of mirror it. Let me sort back through. So here's a shot of it. And if we can get a picture that shows up under where the petals are, you can kind of see where it ends. Oh, there you go. So we're not going to stress too much about all of this crazy paneling. We could probably just make a couple of extra pieces to fit that in. But for now, let's keep things pretty simple. This will fit right alongside here. And I think what I'll do for starters is we'll delete out the inside face. And we can delete out the bottom face as well. Let's run a smooth proxy on it so we can jump back and forth. We'll push this up to its second level of detail. And basically just start tweaking things around. Now, at the end, it's probably going to be safe to make, or safer, I guess, to make an extrusion to kind of help it hold its shape there at the very end. Remember, though, that did give you like a couple of inside faces that will change these shapes, so go ahead and delete those out until you get something like this. Let's go ahead and set this up to high res as well, so we have something to compare against. Alright, and I'll just start extruding these back. Now, this piece is going to kind of taper as it comes up here and then widen out alongside this piece that we just built as we go toward the back. So I'm going to start off by grabbing some of these faces, and we'll slide this in. And let's just make several extrusions. And just kind of reach back here. Boom. Boom. And we don't really need to go too terribly much further. Do we have a nice shot that shows back toward the seats? It looks like this panel also sweeps up, very much like our other one did. So we can see the low res here. We can use that kind of as a guide. In fact, let's do that. Let's use it completely as a guide. So we can extrude back to here, extrude back to here, then here, then here, here, and here. Okay, now we just have some vertices to adjust. Before I start adjusting those too much, though, let me grab those internal faces that were created as a part of the extrusion. And did I extrude one too many times? It looks like I did, doesn't it? That's okay, we'll just kill off everything on that end. And I need all of this gone. And everything on the bottom gone. Okay. Now, from the side, we'll just grab vertices and pull these up to correspond with what's going on up here. And then we need to start kind of widening this out. So let's grab vertices. Just use those arrow keys as much as you can. And I think I'll take these verts up here, just the ones on top, and we'll tuck those in just a little bit in some areas. I guess not everywhere, because some of these up here at the top look like they were good to begin with. Or maybe not anywhere. I think I like the way it was. So, okay, now let's pull some of these in so we get a nice elimination of gaps. Looks like we need to grab the vertices of this object and start pulling them up so that this kind of sits up here on top. Okay. And there we go. So it's all laying over nicely. Looking good. Let's take this piece and let's hit Shift tilde so we get the low res and the high res. Press the up arrow key. Group, duplicate, scale -1. Now remember, I'm still duplicating my input graph, so I can still swap these between low and high res versions, in case you're wondering. Which you may not have been. You might have just been, oh, cool. I've seen that about 50 times now. Yeah, I'll bet that's exactly what you just said. Okay, so, yeah, looking pretty good over here. Maybe a little bit of tweaky up here at the front. And we'll just do it kind of arbitrarily on each side. We'll pull that in. Pull that down. Pull this in and pull down. And yeah, so things starting to come together. I think that's going to wrap things up for this video. Take just a second and kill out your history. Yeah, let's grab you, you, and you. And actually probably get this one too, because I'm sure there's history on all three. And I think that's going to wrap this up. So thanks a lot.